Welcome into another episode of First to the Floor. Happy New Year. Ben Vallis here. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well and not too busted up after celebrating, whether that was New Year's or the Celtics dominating the Spurs of San Antonio, winning 134-101, guys. Wayne Spoony, Jake Eisenberg are both here. Spoony, Happy New Year. How's it going, man?
Happy New Year, dude. We started off with a bang at 7 p.m. New Year's Eve. My power went out for the entirety of the night. So luckily it's the 21st century, so I watched the game on my phone as I'm constantly checking the battery life, but it made it through.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, we also lost power on Christmas Boxing Day, and it was like I still had my power bank phone data, so I'm just still cranking through the NBA games.
Oh, yeah.
And my grandparents are just like, they're just sitting in their chair looking out the window. And I'm like, I guess. They're happy though.
Yeah. At least you have an obsession to consume through your phone when all else fails. Jake, any exciting events to report from New Year's Eve?
We went camping at this awesome old campsite where a festival used to be, and there's the relic of all of the stages and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
And we kind of know some people, so we're able to sneak in there, and we brought speakers and everything, and had a secret music festival set.
That's
an
awesome.
abandoned festival site. It was amazing. So it was great.
Love it. Good to hear. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Some housekeeping quickly before we get into it. Please subscribe to the First to the Floor YouTube channel. We're closing in on 3,000 subscribers, so please like the stream here on YouTube as well. Help us navigate the evil algorithm. Check out Wayne Spooney's weekly column, 3-Leaf Clover on Celtics blog. And speaking of Celtics blog, sign up to their playback room, playback.tv/Celtics blog, featuring us along with many of the Celtics blog staff hosting live watch parties for every Celtics game. Okay. We're going to get to the Spurs game real quick, plus there will be another gushing over Derrick White segment. We'll circle back on the Kornet, Queta discussion. We've got a listener email with a solid proposal for a new Kristaps Porzingis nickname, some Celtics New Year's resolutions, a whole lot more coming up. But first, Spoony, the Spurs game. You watched it on your phone. How did the C's defeat the Spurs so handily?
Everybody looked really small for some reason, even Wembanyama. But I think ultimately, the Spurs are just terrible. They just don't have shooting. They don't play Jones at all, even though he's the only point guard on the roster. I don't even know if he cracked 20 minutes against us. And they're just kind of a complete mess. I don't really know what to think about that team other than Vassell is really good, or Vassell's really good. And Wemby is an alien. He's a freak. He's a giraffe. But just a complete professional domination by the Celtics. And I didn't even think they played that well, especially defensively in the first half. I thought they were terrible. And Scal was calling them out, man. They were just getting cracked off the dribble by everybody. And the Spurs were kind of hot early, but then they turned it on. That third quarter, they just absolutely obliterated them, flew right by them. And the offense all night long, the Spurs could do absolutely nothing, even with Wemby out there protecting the rim.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciated this game because, day ahead in Australia, New Year's Day, coming back, streaming for the playback game. And I've been having a few self-inflicted flu games across the playback streams
of course.
In this period of the year. But we're clear, we're fresh, and I'm feeling good for this pod. But man, this was I don't know who you assigned the credit to. Does Brad Stevens get the credit because this team's so good they can kind of sleepwalk to a 30-point win? Do you assign credit to Greg Popovich for doing a Bill Belichick and creating just a terrible roster? This team is so bad. Keldon Johnson was out, so that he's their second best player. But man, I have no idea what they're doing out there. They stayed in the game early, and me and Jackson were watching the game. And we were feels like we're up 20 already. We're up 7. But it was just good times. It felt like Geno time kind of halfway through the third quarter. And they kind of just sleptwalked to a huge net rating booster game.
Yeah, it was a very non-threatening game. Very, very soothing for my anxiety there. Of the game being on January 1st here in Australia. Sorry, I was like, what date is it again? January 1st. Quick shout out to Muse31 in the chat, by the way, for this super chat. $5. Thank you so much. We did a little shout out to all the listeners on Twitter yesterday. So happy New Year to everyone. We appreciate all of you. Love that you're all here in the chat hanging out with us. So thanks for that super chat, Muse31. A stat here from Dick Leip, the Sultan of Stat. Just some Dick Leip early in the year for all of us, guys. This is the 7th straight game that the Celtics have scored 120 plus points, which Greeny, I think, refers to as the magic number. That's his version of the magic number. Their longest streak since 1967. A team record was 9 was set back in 1960. What I was thinking during the third quarter of this game was something that I'm calling in my mind the pincer move, the third quarter pincer move, which is like the Celtics offense can obviously be really, really good. Obviously, sometimes it doesn't need to be because the defense is often amazing, and defensively they have this other gear that they can go to. But when they are doing both of those things at the same time, it's absolutely ridiculous. And to do that against this like bottom of the barrel San Antonio Spurs team like they did in the third quarter of this game, the pincer movement, offensively and defensively crushing, they need to be investigated for assault or like bullying of some sort, because it was absolutely disgusting and shameful the way that they beat down this Spurs team in the third quarter. What else stood out to you guys? Because it was just a non-threat of a game. It was very, very pleasant overall.
Yeah, I think we went double bigs a lot, which I'm not really sure why, because I don't what is his name? The center they have, Zach Collins. I don't think he played. And so it was really just Wemby and then a bunch of wings that they were playing against. But Corndog and Al played 6 minutes together. Minus 33 net rating, small sample size, but it did not look good when those two were sharing the court, and I don't think it really has all season, but Joe hasn't gone to it a ton. Corndog and KP, though, 3 minutes, plus 108 net rating. Again, that's like maybe you outscore him by 5 points in that small sample size, but in Al KP, 13 minutes, plus 67.1. I don't know. Do you guys think like these weird Kornet and another center lineups or something we're going to keep seeing, or is it Joe just like farting around, or... it's weird, right?
Yeah, I wonder if it's a little bit to do with just trying to get deeper into the bench and giving Kornet a few more minutes, like because he is kind of the 9th man in the rotation. So, like, if you're only playing him as a single big, how much is he really going to get out there when you've got Al and KP playing at the same time? So I wonder if it's just like trying to get the minutes down of the other guys. I mean, we love that Al Horford sub 20 minutes. Porzingis at 30 minutes. I feel like we could have. It just felt like the rotation got to the end of the fourth quarter, and it's like, well, whoever's played that many minutes has played that many minutes.
Sure.
But we saw it in the Pistons game before Kornet came back. A lot of Queta Al minutes, or Al Queta. I was like, depending on which way you like to look at it. I wonder if that's part of it. Is just trying to get deeper into the bench, and double bigs is a way to do it. Because I think they should definitely keep using the Al Porzingis double bigs lineup. I know it hasn't been awesome by the numbers, but I think they have to keep using it, get better at it, because I think there's definitely going to be a place for it in the playoffs against maybe the Sixers or the Bucks. Just having a jumbo lineup that you can go to, you want to have reps in there, and so I wonder if it's just like it's like training with a weight vest on. Hey Al, like imagine if Porzingis was Kornet. And so then when Porzingis actually goes out there, it's like, oh, I'm ready. I'm 25 again, and I'm just moving and grooving.
Yeah, you've beaten the game, and now you're circling back and speed running on a higher difficulty just to challenge yourself a little bit in Al Horford's case. Yeah, I mean, Joe Mazzulla might call it experimentation. We obviously, as you've heard, will call it farting around. Just seeing what you've got with different lineups and combinations. And look, Kornet, and we'll get to it in a little bit more detail soon, Kornet's been great. So, like, give him the opportunity to play with someone better than, a string of bench players and see what he's capable there. But obviously, small sample size, like you said, Spoony. Not looking great so far. Something else I've noticed from the team in this game, and really since they've come back from the road trip, was a healthier ratio, offensively speaking. So not just like specifically hunting mismatches always like they were doing earlier in the season. Yes, still some of that, but also a good balance of that, and like just playing good offense, moving the ball, motion style offense, and a heavy ratio of set plays and good, reliable set plays in the half court as well. So it feels like, and the offensive rating reflects this. I think in the last, I had the stat here written here somewhere, in the last 2 weeks, by cleaning the glass, Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
One of my favorite
Ben
stats of all
Vallis,
time.
yeah, trademark.
Signature BV stat. Last 2 weeks per cleaning the glass. First ranked offense, first ranked point differential. So I think that's bearing out in obviously what we're seeing on the court as well. 11th ranked defense, but we did let the Pistons run up like 120 something on us in overtime there. So maybe a little dirty stat. Whereas obviously the offensive side of things is pure, guys. Are you noticing that at all as far as like the higher, healthier ratio offensively speaking?
The offense has been the thing, which makes sense to be the last thing to come around. And the last couple of weeks, this offense has just been ridiculous. And again, like there's been a few games where they've shot really well, but again, like yesterday, they shoot 35% from 3 and just get to 135 points so easily. I understand it's the Spurs. But yeah, the offense, everyone's kind of, I feel like, understanding what everyone's strengths are. Porzingis being maybe king among them all. Like everyone, as soon as he gets the mismatch on someone to throw him the ball, and you just see the defenses of the opposing team just freak out. And he's so patient down on the block, and he can, he holds the ball into the rafters, depending on whatever stadium he's in. No one can get to it. He just gets his lean booty into someone, and he like throws a fake pass to someone. Defenses go back out. It gets more space, get another bump, can go back and shoot over the top, or if they do overhelp, try and double. He's just making really easy passes, and it's just like, and Tatum did it as well yesterday in the post. It's just like teams really freak out, and I would almost let Tatum and and Porzingis just ISO. It's a pick your poison, because if you double, Tatum's a good enough passer, Porzingis is a good enough passer, one pass away, and then the Celtics are in ball movement mode. And when they're moving the ball and attacking warped defenses, it's just impossible to deal with them. So it's like, I guess we have to live with Tatum ISOing mismatches and Porzingis ISOing mismatches. Otherwise, you get this athleticism and skill whirring around. I just don't know how you deal with it.
Yeah, you can't really, right? I mean, that's reflected in the stats. We're just like blowing people apart. So I thought they had been playing faster. So I looked up the last 10 game pace numbers, and it's not really reflected in that.
Yeah,
so what I think, so I think we're like 23rd in pace over that. But that pace number is just like how fast do you take a shot, right? And that it doesn't feel like they're playing faster in that way, but just like when they're getting into their sets, they're doing it a little earlier. And then when they see one of those mismatches, they just seize on it so fast. Like Jake, you've been rightly complaining about the passes not really being crisp when you see someone open. I still think we have that problem sometimes, but it's definitely gotten a lot better. And they're doing such a better job of like the second KP gets that switch, he's got the ball. Like there's no him like waving around, like please give me the ball, Dion Waiters style. Like he just boom. Oh, he's in the high post. There's a small on him. Just give it to him. Go from there. And that's not going to be fast pace for as far as that stat catches, but it's quick offense, and they're just executing so well. Like and everybody down the line, like even Pritchard's out here looking like a star, man. Like he's all over the place. He's crossing people up and getting into people. And when you get like a team confidence like that, it builds. It's like the rising tide lifts all boats, man. Like everybody starts feeling good about themselves, and then you get the best version of each individual role player too. And like we've seen it with Kornet. He's like looking good in the handoff game. I've dubbed it the corn hub. Like people are just like flying around him. He's laying it off. He's reading it right. He's pulling it, hitting little dump over passes. So that I'm not sure how much better you can play offense than the Celtics currently are right now. Maybe shots go down a little more, but that's results over process.
Yeah, can we call it a plug and play offense? Are we getting to that point? Because Pritchard comes in with 7 assists, like predominantly in garbage time last night. Luke Kornet is suddenly catching the ball on those dump offs reliably out of nowhere, silencing the haters. And everyone is, even Delano Banton, I thought, obviously in deep garbage time. I was rewatching parts of the game that I missed yesterday this morning. He was scintillating to watch as part of this system. So is it plug and play, or is it just a collection of talented players who could be plugged in elsewhere seamlessly also?
I think it's a buy-in. And you see, as soon as Joe goes into the bench, these guys are so ready to go. They're ready to play fast. They're hustling on D. They're grabbing rebounds. They're Svi. I love the way Svi plays. He's coming in there, flying off handoffs. You hit him with a Smitty, bang, bang, dump off to the corn hub down low and threw it down. Like, everybody comes in and they're just flying around. I love to see even, Lamar Stevens caught a great pass from Banton in the corner, drives it, finds Queta down low for the and one. It was good to see the extended minutes from the bench to see if anyone can pop a little bit. Man, Brissett, it's so funny, dude. Like, he just is bad at putting the orange ball into the basket. Like, that's he's really bad at that thing.
Yes.
But,
he's so good at everything else.
He's 6'8", relatively athletic, tries really hard, and that's going to make you like a $1.9 million per year for like a decade if you just, and great guy, media vibes. Like, he knows his role, intangibles, important. Everybody seems to love him. And like you interestingly, I'm not sure if everybody saw, like, Hayward was on the podcast P, I think it's called thing. I'm not sure if that, if you put that on the run sheet, I'm jumping ahead here, but it's like the opposite of that team.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's bought in all the way through the roster, as opposed to Hayward saying today, like, everybody with differing agendas. This is the opposite with this team. Like, talent wise, this team's probably better, but that team like barely like got over 50 wins, and they should have like easily cracked 60 plus and gone to the conference finals. But
that Hayward clip gave me some much needed closure that I didn't realize I've been holding on to inside my subconscious for years now. On Brissett, like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but like with my wife here at home, she'll say to me, you can do the washing, you can hang it out, but if you don't bring it back in and fold it, then what's really the point? And it's the same with Brissett. You can do everything, but if you can't put the ball in the bucket, like, how helpful are you really? Like, if I need to help you with every load of washing, then I may as well just do it all myself. Anyway, bad analogy. But let's move on. What do you guys think of Wemby? Jake, we'll start with you. Obviously, the dude's an alien. He presents a lot of matchup nightmares. I think you can certainly see the potential for that in upcoming seasons. He had one play where he like absolutely cooked Al Horford off the dribble. Al, who has shut down like notable MVP caliber players in recent years. Obviously, he's on the losing side in Wemby's case, but he certainly had some flashes in this one. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I remember Spoonie coming into the season. You and me were like, gonna try and take
gonna be that good.
Like, how good are we talking here?
Yeah.
I think the take was like, Wemby's not going to be as good as SGA ever became or ever like is, and that actually I was kind of wavering in the preseason with how good Wemby looked, and then thankfully SGA's actually gone up another level. So like, if Wemby became as good as SGA, I feel like that's a pretty good result for any player.
Yeah,
I'm still not sure I see the crazy hyperbole that everybody was getting to before the season about him being like the best player in the NBA on his rookie contract at some point, like the second coming of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Obviously, he's on just a garbage team that's just not designed for him to do anything really, and him having a lack of a point guard, I think, is teaching him some bad habits. Like his shot selection is horrific. Like he made 3 of 8 threes yesterday, but they're just like walk in, pull up, like, dare I say, Jayson Tatum shots here and there. But like he's shooting 29% from 3. That's across all 3-point attempts, looks this season. And I don't know. I didn't feel him at all yesterday in the paint, both offensively and defensively. And it's like, isn't that kind of the whole point? I get that it's cool that you've got the extra perimeter skills. That should be like secondary. It should be, I think, and maybe they'll get there again so early, but 0 rebounds in the first half. Didn't really feel him defensively or offensively in the paint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his offense seems so reliant on the jump shot going in. Like, he doesn't really get to the rim, and maybe that's a function of the team around him sucking so bad that they can't ever get him easy looks. So when he does have a big game, it's on all these like crazy pull-ups and like mid-range jump shots. But he's 7'5". He can't post up. He's just too thin right now. And then as he ages, maybe that'll help. But yeah, like, is he better than Chet right now? I don't know. Yeah, I don't think
Chet's
so, right?
way better.
Like,
well, I mean,
go ahead, Ben.
Well, just Chet is playing with a legitimate point guard who can
Right.
set the table, which is a huge difference. But sorry, Spoonie, I cut you off.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, but everyone's comparing Wemby. He's the next LeBron. He's the best prospect since LeBron. LeBron was a monster the second he stepped foot on a bad team, and he made them good. So I think his expectations are like totally unreasonably high, and he's definitely not meeting them to me. But he's probably going to be one of the best. He's going to be an all-star at the very least, probably an all-NBA guy. But and the defense, I don't want to knock him too much for it because like that is like pop, buddy. Might be time to retire, dude. Like they're a mess,
He's coasting.
man.
We talked about Tatum coasting. Greg Popovich is coasting this season. Absolutely.
He's been coasting, dude. So, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, he's going to be great, but like, yeah, I'm with you, Jake. The hyperbole, the craziness, it's not justified yet, and maybe it will be. But man, that team sucks.
They do suck a lot. Yeah. But yeah, with Wemby, like the talent is clearly there. The dimensions, it's dimensions porn over here for me watching Wemby play. He's incredible in that side of things. But,
yes,
you know, like that play where White was trailing him and going for the steal and he lifted the ball up over his head. It's like, I don't know, like we get it. He's fucking tall. Like, so what? Like, next play. I didn't think that was that amazing.
Okay.
But like the template is there. I respect the shit out of the San Antonio Spurs organization. They're like my second favorite, like, franchise in the league. So if there's somewhere or someone to nurture a talent and a skill set like Wemby, it better be the Spurs. So I was glad to see him go there. I think he's going to be great under the tutelage of everyone there. And that goes way beyond Greg Popovich. They've got a lot of good personnel in their front office there. So good luck to them.
Is the Zag, and Bill Simmons flagged this the other day. It's like, is the Spurs organization that good still? Like, similar to the Patriots, and it's like, you know, you were the greatest dynasty in the history of the sport, but it's like, this is
a lot of brain drain.
Yeah, what have you done for me lately? Business. And Derrick White trade, terrible. The Wembanyama pick, obviously, but like that's just pure luck that they got the first overall pick, right? So we're gonna see, because right now they were gonna be terrible no matter what team they put around him, but like the fact that they're not putting Trey Jones on the court, so he can just like run pick and roll with anybody. Like they didn't run pick and roll at all yesterday.
No.
It's like, what are we doing? So yeah, I think it's fair to be like, let's see the Spurs make one good move first, and then maybe we can go back to them being one of the greatest organizations in the history of the sport. But
just quickly, shout out to Rodrigo in the chat with the super chat donation there. Thank you so much. Shout out to all the Brazilians, all the South Americans out there. Big Hooper Nation Brazil. They've had some good Olympic squads in the past. So shout out to all the Brazilians there, and thank you for the donation there. I will say with the Spurs, just quickly, it's funny, like before we started this pod, I was like, guys, we've got so much on the run sheet. I'll move us along quickly, and I haven't done that. So I apologize, but we're having fun. That's the main thing. With the Spurs and any organization, it's like know when to be good and know when to be bad. And I feel like you talk about what have you done for me lately with the Spurs. They have picked a good time to be bad. Trading Derrick White away was a part of that. Let's get worse. Let's increase our chances of getting a potentially generational player, an all-time player. Maybe we're shitting on him a little too hard so early in his career. Well, he's really a terrible team, but that's part of the fun. I'm not going to call it Schadenfreude, but it's like when he had that early stretch, and I guess some of preseason as well, I was like, shit, we better win a title soon because Wemby's going to take over the league soon. Like, obviously, those feelings have dissipated, thankfully. So that's why I guess I'm happy and just lightly dipping my toes in some Schadenfreude that it's not working out in the short term for them. But love Wemby, love the Spurs. Guys, let's get on quickly, I should say, to some individual performances from this game. Starting with Jayson Tatum. We've been begging for this for a while. An efficient three-point shooting game, 5 of 10 from 3. I stopped short of writing and better decision-making because there were some quite terrible turnovers in this game. Both, I think, in quick succession later in the game, but better decision-making from beyond the arc. I thought that a lot of his shots came much more within the flow of the offense. Some, sure, he just hit them, and so it's easier to heap on some praise here. But all in all, going through a list of individuals, and it's hard to point out who had a bad game, but Tatum much better than weeks past in this one. Jake, what do you think?
So the Green with Envy guys had a great tweet today who I think were at the game. But so Tatum took 10 3-point attempts last night, which, if that's all you knew, you'd be like, oh, here we go again with the terrible threes. But he took 6 dribbles on his 10 3-point attempts yesterday. So
Wow,
there was
nice.
some catch and shoot stuff. And when he was getting to the pull up, it's like coming off a screen, 1 dribble, 2 dribbles max. Like, there's a very big difference in the types of 3-pointers that he's taking in, even within the pull ups. And last night, again, it's hard to discern a little bit when they're actually going in versus missing. They felt better last night, and I think that's reflected in the amount of dribbles that he was taking last night. But man, when the 3-pointer's going in, he's literally just unstoppable, and that's kind of maybe why you want him to keep shooting them, because they can win any game where he shoots 3 for 10 from 3 anyway. It's like not even that big of a deal. But when he does have the 5 for 10 games, like in Game 6 against Milwaukee, then there's no chance. No, especially with this team as well. It's like when they do go down and he goes on a heater, and when he's in the playoffs, he's playing more inside out and he's taking these pull-up threes. It's just a supernova level that you can't touch, and that's the version of Tatum that takes the team to a whole new level. And so, which is why they can just like sleepwalk to a 30-point win, and Tatum can sleepwalk his way to 25. What do you even have in the end? I don't even know. I was just like watching the game yesterday. I'm like, he's not even trying, dude. And he's going to have like a LeBron stat line.
25, yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it goes to sort of the growth of Tatum that he was feeling it from 3, and I kind of didn't really notice him all that much out there in a good way. Like, he didn't try to force himself onto this game. Like, he knew the team's good enough. He's going to get up some open catch and shoot threes. He's going to get to the rim a few times and play some defense, and that's it. It only took 17 shots, which is, I think... I don't mind Tatum taking more than that, but in a game like that where just about everybody else has a mismatch on you as well, why not? That is a hilarious comment that you just put on the screen. Wemby needs Zion Chef from Mr. Mordaunt. He's got to get some gumbo, dude. That's quick. But, so, yeah, I just thought like a tidy, professional Jayson Tatum game. Like, he didn't try to do too much, and that's just fine with the team you have around you when you're playing the Spurs.
For sure. Derrick White, to move on, let's start with this. I mean, the vibes like continue to elevate. How do the vibes, like, I have to add like more whiteboard manually to the big one in my house to continue to track the vibes upwards. I'm running out of vertical space. It's ridiculous. And, you know, the fans, they're everywhere in every arena, it seems. You mentioned the Green with Envy guys. Go check out their pod because they were at the game last night, probably taking part in these chants for Derrick White. But, you know, he had a great game. Coach Pop was just like absolutely beaming with positivity for Derrick White, rightfully so after the game. D. White had 17, 5, and 3 on 7 of 11 shooting in this one. 0 turnovers. Just, you know, like not jumping off the page in any one particular stat, maybe other than the turnovers, but just like continues to be like the fulcrum of the team's stability there. Spoonie, we'll go back to you. Jake, you just got to hold it in for a little bit longer, man. We'll go to Spoonie first.
I'll be quick.
I'm just basking in it.
I thought it was interesting. I think Scal said this, and I think it's something that's been said before, is like he talked to Pop, and Pop's like, I always had to convince Derrick how good he was. And I feel like that's a mindset a lot of guys don't get over, and they might wash out of the league if you don't have incredible confidence. So shout out Rivens. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for the donation.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I feel like that's a mindset that can like make you no longer an NBA player if you don't have that belief, that confidence. And like to see Derrick go from a guy who doesn't totally think he belongs in the NBA to whatever the hell we're watching, like prime Kyle Lowry. I mean, like he's insane on both sides of the ball now, man. It's nuts. So I will cede the rest of my time to Jake to allow him to bask some more.
What a gentleman. It's very Derrick White of you.
Yes, Rivens. I know no beds in sight this session, but you know the game, you know, was last night. And that's when we need the beds. But look, man, has there? I don't know if there's ever been a season, like has there ever been a higher approval rating across the board, not just within the team himself. You're getting the JJ Redicks, the Twitter, you know, Nekias Duncans, the Jackson Franks, like across the board, people just truly, truly appreciating what we've kind of been seeing and seen grow since he's arrived in Boston. And like when he got traded from San Antonio, it was shocking how positive the outpouring was from Derrick White. Because he was really good against the Celtics. I'd seen him be good, but like never thought that he would be this. And to be fair, he's gone up multiple levels since arriving here from the guy that he even was in San Antonio. And maybe I take back all the slander I had on Popovich and the Spurs, because without, I guess, the way they nurtured that sweet fro from Buffalo into the beautiful bald man that he is today. I mean, you got to tip your cap, but he's just having a special season, and you really just enjoy the ride, so to speak. But there was this guy. I went to this party at this bar one time. It was last year. It was like halfway through the season. Derrick White was playing awesome, and you're out and about. Sometimes you start talking about basketball. It comes up some way, and then someone will say something, and you're like, oh, this person actually he speaks NBA.
You lock eyes from across the room.
Yeah, exactly. And then we spend the next 2 hours just standing in the corner, just talking about the Eastern Conference and the race and whatever. And he was just he's like, I get Derrick White's good, but he's not moving the needle in a series against X, Y, and Z. Like the Cavs could beat the Celtics and that kind of stuff. And I'm like,
what?
Look, I'm like, I think about him a lot, actually. I think about that guy.
Derrick White?
No, well,
both. Sorry.
Both. I think about both. But that guy in the bar, I'm like, I wonder if he thinks about that night that we spent together and how I had 30 minutes of Derrick White propaganda, just one more drink. I'll be back in a second to tell you more about how good Derrick White is. And he's like, he's fine, but he's not this guy. And I think about if he sees what's happening with Derrick White, it's like, damn, that guy I met in that bar one night, he was right.
Amazing. Look, we're going to come back in a second and talk about Jaylen Brown and some other individual performances. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. You guys got anything?
Yep. Well, I got made fun of last episode for Pistons +5 against the Raptors and maybe sprinkling a little bit on the money line.
Cha-ching.
And did I get helped slightly by the fact that the Raptors made a trade, sending OG Anunoby out the door, allowing him not to play in that game? Maybe, but I think the process is sound here. I would live bet the Pistons right now to hang with the Rockets, who have been kind of sliding lately. Mm-hmm. And otherwise, I don't like the board. Side note, I was really keen for the Heat Clippers game to bet on that one. Jimmy Butler's out again, on track to miss 20+ games again. He seems to skate on just being not play in any games anymore. But just live bet the Pistons.
Love it. Gamble responsibly, folks. Let's get through the rest of these individual performances very quickly. Starting with a comment here from Eric Weiss in the chat. How about Jaylen Brown continuing to absolutely roast single coverage? I might be having the most fun, of all individual performers, watching Jaylen Brown more than anybody else, because when he's playing like this, and speaking of, a few weeks ago we talked about, is Jaylen Brown playing the best basketball of his career? Turned out he was. Is he, Jake, playing even better now? Has he continued to improve since that data point 3 weeks ago?
Well, that was the tricky part, was the process looks better. He seems like he's buying into making the right play, making the extra pass, finding guys. But the shot making wasn't the shot making last year when he made All-NBA second team was really, really good. The 3-point ball wasn't quite as good as previous years, but he was just killing everybody from a scoring perspective, and that wasn't quite the case when we were having those discussions. But now he's on fire. Anytime he gets in the post, these mid-range fadeaways, MJ style, every time. Last night when I was streaming the game with Jackson, he got the ball, he pump fake, pivot, fade away, and I'm just money, and it goes. He's just elite from that spot right now. And now the three-pointer has started to come as well. So right now you add the efficient scoring, and he's just not forcing it. He has 13 shots last night, and he's moving the ball. He absolutely is playing some of the best basketball of his career. And it's incredible to see because, I mean, like Jaylen Brown, man, I mean, level up. For every year of his career, it was like, this is the one facet of his game that you always like, not a lot of guys really improve in this kind of stuff. But give it to Jaylen, who like is truly committed to getting better every season and every day. And especially the way that he came off last season, the no left hand, 7 for $1 million or whatever it was in Game 7 against Miami, the richest contract. We've heard nothing really about the contract for ages. Like no one being like, can you believe this guy's the highest player in the league? It's like, yeah, we can. Well, he's contributing to a team that's going to win 65 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last 10 games, 25, 6, 4.5, 1.3 stocks, 2.7 turnovers. That's a 1.71 assist to turnover ratio over 10 games, Jaylen. Man. Like that's pretty good. 62.7 true shooting percentage. He's shooting over 50, 40, and then 75 from the line, which is okay. And we're plus 20 per 100 possessions with him on the court. And that, to me, is the big number for Jaylen because it's always been a bit strange that the advanced metrics never really caught up with Jaylen's counting stats. Part of that's just because of our rotation. Tatum comes off. We always fell apart. But this year, that is not the case. We're dominating in the minutes. Tatum's on the bench, and that's mostly because of Jaylen Brown and his two-way impact. He always had a two-way reputation. I think it was a little bit unearned before this season, but it's earned this year, man. He's playing amazing on both ends. And, yeah, it's the mindset. It's the knowing how unguardable he is, that he's going to have help get sent to him, and he just has to make the easy, simple pass, and it's just going to open everything up for the rest of the team. And the fact that he is not driving aimlessly into a crowd of people, like he just doesn't do that anymore. I mean, once in a while he'll get the ball poked away or he'll have one of his goofy, like dribbles it off his foot turnovers. But when you don't compound that with bad decisions, you start to become a much more efficient and helpful player to your entire team. And he's done that. Yeah, and you're right, Jake. It's hard to go from all NBA second team and then get better at age 27. But he's done it, dude. And it's in the way we've all hoped. And it's like amazing to see.
Yeah, and maybe my only disappointment from last night is that he didn't dunk on Wemby, or at least try to, because Jaylen Brown has become such a reliable bad motherfucker. Like, and you can feel it in road games as well. He's got the biggest like counting stats of like oohing and ahhing the road crowd as well. You can hear it on every game, and he has that like that BDE. You know, he's got that energy about him. And people in the arena feel it. I can feel it through my TV at home. And for him to not, I guess he just didn't have the opportunity. But I fully expected him, if he got any slither of an opportunity to go at Wemby and posterize him, he would have, because he's becoming that reliable of a personality type. So that just makes the game so entertaining to watch. And we just have, I said it on the last show, an absolute embarrassment of riches right now, and Jaylen Brown is at the top of the pile. It's a lot of fun. We're having fun right now, folks.
I love it. Yes. I love it. The energy shifter, it absolutely is a factor. The way that he enforces himself on the game this year, like he's just dunking on everybody, bringing it on defense. And Spoonie, the driving into the lane thing, I can't remember a single time, like in the second half of the season, where he does the thing where he jumps in the air and gets lost, and then like that happened like 4 times a game in the playoffs. It just doesn't happen anymore. It's a he keeps his dribble alive and just backs someone down, and because he's so good, easy passes. Let's go, Jaylen.
And it means... Go ahead, Spoonie.
I was going to say, he gets to the pivot game a lot more, right? Instead of jumping, looking for a pass to bail himself out, he's like, I'll just hop step, and he's got all these like crazy pivot combos that people just can't guard. So I think that's another way he's like cut down the turnovers there. You're right, Jake. I can't remember the last time he's jumped in the air and thrown it out of bounds. That was maddening.
Yeah.
And it all means, like, when guys like Kristaps Porzingis have as rough a shooting night as they did last night, 4 of 14 overall, 0 of 7 from 3, and it doesn't matter because the team is firing on all cylinders, and just the presence of Porzingis, and we've covered this since game 1 of the regular season, the presence alone allows guys like Jaylen Brown to cook at that level. So just him being out there and being a theoretical 3-point shooting threat, not even a practical one, is enough, it seems. So, Jake, Porzingis, bad shooting night last night. Does it even matter?
No. And similar to Tatum in that when he has an off shooting night, it doesn't matter because he can still be impactful. The defense that he's playing is being underrated this season. Like last night, he had that incredible block on Chetty Osman that ended up leading to a shot clock violation. Pritchard hounding Chetty, and then Porzingis coming over late. That's what's great about Porzingis is like he's anchoring one of the best defenses in the league. So even if he's missing shots, he's still going to be doing that. And then the gravity obviously impacting the rest of the offense. And this grifting son of a gun, like
I know.
four
it.
for 14, 6 for 6 on the line. He's elite at getting himself to the free throw line, partly because of how dominant he is in mismatches and getting people with the pump fake. So patient. Like he's just such a good player. And man, everybody, the rest of the league better watch out because he's like 33% from 3 this year. And that's going to turn at some point. He's going to go on a run and go scorched earth. Honestly, save it for the playoffs, KP. Save all those makes, conference finals, and we'll just coast our way to banner 18. That would be beautiful.
I definitely think the shooting's going to come around because he's 36% on open threes, but 32% on wide open threes. And that just makes absolutely no sense that he's only shooting 32% on wide open threes. So that's going to come back. And yeah, you're right, Jake. Defensively, his impact is, I think we almost miss him on that end more than we do on offense in games he doesn't play because he's so impactful. He's really a smarter defender than I knew. It might have been the Raptors game, but he jumped out on somebody late shot clock and doubled them and basically forced the shot clock violation. It might have been him and Jaylen. And that's just great recognition. Like, okay, there's 3 seconds left on the shot clock. They can't get a pass. I'm just gonna straight double, get off my guy and go. And it's that type of stuff that makes you from a good or decent defender to a great one. And he's approaching great defense in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam Hauser, to move on, the slump is over, right? I'm not even posing that as a question because it's clearly over. Our guy, Drew Carter, used the phrase house party during the call last night as we further attempt to embed ourselves in Celtics lore, which is awesome to see. I get crazy kicks from seeing that on the broadcast. But just quickly, guys, before we move on, Sam Hauser, obviously more of a homebody so far in this season in that he's much better at home, struggles on the road a little bit from beyond the arc, but a couple of games now where he's actually managed to hit at a decent clip from the three-point line.
Yeah, was it a slump? Like, he kind of missed shots for like on and off for a couple weeks, and even within there, he had a couple games where he was still 50%. Like he's been so much more consistent. Like the slump that he had last season, where he was cold for pretty much an entire month, and that's partly probably due to maturing as a player and him having the confidence that he's made it through a slump like he did last year when they were relying on him, and now knowing that he's going to get minutes no matter what, and he's able to shoot through. They want him to shoot through these slumps, but man. It is great to see him knock down some shots on the road because I think he's up to, I think you had it just there, Ben, right? 36% on the road, which is absolutely acceptable. Maybe I'm just have got green colored glasses on. I don't feel like him missing or making shots is a home road related thing. It's just more the sample size of shooting. Specifically in Milwaukee, where he's from, which is all that really matters.
Yeah, right. That's also just kind of the life of a shooter who only really takes threes as your field goal attempts. Like you go 1 for 5 one night and it looks bad, but you can't go 3 for 5 every night. Otherwise, you'd shoot 60-something%. Although it feels like Hauser could at some point.
Dude, I swear.
Like it's that good. It's that pure. But that I think that's just going to be how he's going to be for his entire career. But what matters is that he comes back up and he's shooting up like 45% on a high volume of threes this season. And home, road, maybe there's something to that, but I really don't think so. I think it's a small sample size right now. We're only 30-something games into the season. So what matters, is if he's making them in the playoffs. We will find out. But, hey, we should get more home games than road games in the playoffs, so we're good there anyway.
For me, it's relative to expectations, though. So if he misses a shot that we expect every time to go in, then it's a slump as far as I'm concerned until the next shot goes in, which fortunately there's never too long to wait there for Sammy House Party Hauser. The Kornet Queta battle rages on. Just quickly, guys, before we get to a listener email, which one of you guys added these stats to the run sheet? Because that's probably the quickest way to get through this is just to throw to you guys.
All right, you want me to just like let me just like lay these out. I'll try to be quick because I probably went a little over. I'm gonna write about this, so that's why I've got all this.
For everyone listening at home, I'm looking at a spicy chunk of Queta Kornet stats right now. So prepare yourselves. This is gonna be great.
Divorced level research making an appearance yet again.
Correct. Okay, all right. So I will just do it this way. Luke, significantly better defending the rim, holds players to much worse field goal percentage around the rim. Luke, 99th percentile as a roll man. Queta, 87th. So Luke, he's winning the battle there. Queta, more screen assists by about 1.5. Luke boxes out less, even though I don't really trust NBA.com's box out numbers. They're terrible.
Ban the Kornet contest. That's why that's down, dude.
The Eclipse.
Get rid of that thing.
That's spot on, dude. So our rebounding gets worse with both of them on the court. So we rebound at 70%. 70% rebound percentage with Luke on. Queta's 70.2. It improves with both of them on the bench. So, like, no, that's a wash there. Queta, worst defensive rating on the team. Second worst is Luke. So take from that what you will. But Queta plus 13 net rating, and Luke's only at plus 2.3. So, that's a bunch of stats that probably nobody absorbed. But, I think I would probably lean Luke. Still, I just trust him more with the ball in his hands, but I don't know about you guys.
Dude, it's not even close. Like, he's so much more solid. And the net rating stuff, it's because Queta got to play in the Clippers and the Kings games.
Yep.
He's barely played this season, and he just happens to have been on. And I guess you give him a little bit of credit for being on the court when the Celtics were dominating, but that was not a Queta-led blowout in Sacramento or LA for those games. Kornet, over the last 2 games, averaging since returning from the injury, obviously small sample, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He knows where to be. He makes the right play. He's quick decisions. I'm all aboard the Luke Kornet hype train right now. I heard someone on Twitter today say, if Kornet keeps playing like this, he might price himself out of the Celtics. I'm like, I'm not worried about that yet. Just now, but if that does happen, that's a good development, because that means that Kornet probably played well in the playoffs, which is worth losing him because he ends up making $4 million or the taxpayer mid-level somewhere, which I would be pretty surprised still if he gets to that point.
Yeah, you just need to be solid in that role, whether it's Queta or Kornet, like that deep in the big rotation. And Queta has some really electrifying physical talents and has had some good moments, don't get me wrong, and especially relative to his 2-way contract. But Luke has been more solid, more reliable in that really diminished role for longer stretches. So for me, it's Luke. But again, harping back to the last podcast, a ridiculous embarrassment of riches, even that far down the bench, to be like, which one of these 2 guys who are both playing great, again, relative to expectations. It's really, really good to see. We're going to move on to a listener email. And by the way, you can email us at firsttothefloor18@gmail.com. Send us your questions. We'll chuck them on the podcast. We'll argue about them. We'll discuss them. We'll laugh at each other trying to answer them ridiculously. But this is an email from George Scriber. And the subject of the email was Porzingis nickname. And it goes as follows. Guys, I was just curious if anyone has considered Kavorka as a nickname for Kristaps Porzingis. I do like Bear Slayer, but I think Kavorka is better. Kavorka comes from a Seinfeld episode, a made-up word from the Latvian Orthodox Church, and refers to Kramer having, quote, the lure of the animal. I think it would be a great nickname, and I'm kind of surprised it hasn't been brought up already. Google Kavorka and decide for yourselves. Love the podcast. Start listening a year ago and haven't missed one. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work. Thank you for the email, George. I do have a clip here, just for added context, guys.
Yeah.
I told you.
What?
I told you she liked me.
Who?
Sister Roberta.
How do you know?
She told me. She says she's never had a man stir up all these feelings inside of her. She's questioning her faith. She's thinking of leaving the church.
Wow.
Oh, right. This power. Look what I'm doing. I'm dangerous, Jerry. I'm very, very dangerous.
You wanted to see me, Father?
Yes, please, sit down. Sister Roberta came to see me yesterday.
I know what this is about, Father. Now, I didn't do anything. I just spoke to her innocently for just a few minutes. It's just that I have this power.
Yes, Kavorka.
Kavorka.
It is a Latvian word, which means the lure of the animal.
I don't understand.
Have you guys been feeling the lure of the animal this season? Do you think it's a nickname, Kavorka? I mean, great. Like, there's not a lot of like Latvian references in Western pop culture. I've been feeling the lure of the animal from Porzingis. I think we can safely say we all have. Is Kavorka, is it a nickname that we can get to stick? Should we get Drew back on the podcast and start name dropping the Kavorka?
This is a first to the floor nickname because Drew Carter's not going to be able to drop this one on the podcast. It's like, can we run this 2-minute clip of Seinfeld on the podcast just so we can get the context for everybody? But I mean, this is beautiful. Kramer, Porzingis, two legends. You know, you can't go past these two. Well, I think we've got to get Latvian Pete's thoughts here. I know he's not in the chat here today, but we'll definitely we'll have to get his thoughts because I feel like he might have to be the last say on this one.
Yeah, we got to consult our Latvian expert.
Exactly.
Pete, for sure. But I could definitely see some playbacks where we're just screaming Kavorka very loudly. It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. I will say that's kind of one downside to it. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's funny. Seinfeld reference. Like, yeah, you can't hate on that.
Yeah, and look, could I have cut that clip down to be a little shorter? Sure, and maybe that might be the difference maker in this one. But we appreciate listeners sending in emails with any kind of proposal. So let's try the next playback stream. We'll see if we can get that out there and see if it sticks with the many people joining us on those Celtics blog playback streams. Let's move on to this, guys. It's the 2nd of January here in Sydney, Australia, and I'm sure down there in Tasmania as well, Jake.
That's right.
Still the first in the States, just. What, as a team, as a whole, Spoonie, should be the Celtics' most highly prioritized New Year's resolution?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think maybe defensively, just continue. Do you want a joke answer or a real one? Because I'm hitting you with a real answer.
Whatever comes first.
Okay, all right. So first, I would say defensively, just kind of continue to hone, maybe hit the glass a little bit harder, even though they're a good rebounding team. It just seems like once in a while they have those games like against the Pistons where they can't keep them off the glass. So just eliminate those kind of games where you lose a little bit of focus. That's great, Rivens. And then joke one, I would say do whatever you can to allow that JB Kristaps friendship, budding friendship to flower. Maybe get them in some commercial, like a Dunkin's commercial together, something like that. You know, something a little goofy, like, can I buy you a coffee, Chris? You know, something. I don't know.
That's good. Okay.
Good stuff.
Real resolution, keep up the pace. Crank up the pace. I think that when this team is playing fast, and maybe more specifically, Tatum, please crank up the pace. Feels like everybody's on board. Jaylen's like constantly talking about the pace. I'm wondering what's going through Jaylen's head sometimes when it's like Tatum just stops the ball and does something slow. But you know, lead by example, play fast. I love you, Jaylen, for continuing to talk about it as well. Play fast, both as a team, Tatum specifically, and then I think we got to really hone in on Derrick White and how we're pampering him and his family. You know, Hendricks. And I forget the name of his new kid as well. But
Daxon, is that it?
That sounds familiar. But the extension talks, maybe a miss from Brad. He should just said yes to whatever the number was in the offseason because the number's going up. Coming up here. And you have to pay whatever it is at this point. Like, it's going to be, like, it's probably going to be $40 million annual salary. And I think you just have to keep Derrick White, Porzingis, Tatum, and Jaylen together forever. So,
absolutely, yeah.
Be very nice
to
Derrick. Be very nice to Derrick and his family would be my resolution.
These are sound resolutions, guys. Just very quickly to circle back on Kavorka. I know Jake's loving this. We've got Martin's in the chat here who says, I'm Latvian and I don't know such a word. He also says it's not a Latvian thing. I don't think that Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David thought that Kristaps Porzingis would come along and popularize Latvia in Western pop culture. But here we go. All right, good to tie a bow on that. For me, New Year's resolutions for the Celtics, just do it in the playoffs, right? You've been great for an extended stretch here, well beyond, 30 games now. We've all come to rely on this new iteration of the Celtics, but the playoffs have their own demons, I think, for the team themselves And we saw, how demons do come back to bite you as recently as that Warriors game. It is a thing in terms of like getting the monkey off your back and shaking those mental cobwebs. We've had troubles on the playoffs recently, executing down the stretch, crunch time, etc., closing out series. So resolution, be this new awesome version of yourselves in the playoffs. For me, it's that simple. Folks, listening later, listening now in the chat, let us know your thoughts, your own funny New Year's resolutions for the Celtics. We want to hear it all, so let us know. And while you're at it, like the stream and subscribe as well. We're going to end on this, guys. The upcoming schedule is becoming a little bit more challenging for the Celtics after a brief quote-unquote easy stretch where we almost got beaten by the Pistons and the Raptors. Now we've got the Thunder on the road tomorrow. They're a really hot team at the moment. Back home for the Jazz, maybe a Kelly Olynyk audition, a re-audition for Brad Stevens, even though his contract is sort of prohibitively sized and it's probably not a possible acquisition for the Celtics. And then back-to-back away games against Aaron Nesmith's Pacers, guys. So starting with the Thunder game, Jake, I'll throw to you. There's an Aussie connection with the team, although maybe we're somewhat distancing ourselves from that.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ben.
How do you expect this Thunder game to go? Because it is one of the more talented teams that we'll have faced in a while, I suppose.
I'd say that the Thunder's the team that I've watched the most outside of the Celtics this season, just because partly it started with the Josh Giddey connection, partly because I have a bet on the Thunder to win the Western Conference at 70-1. And I'm keeping my eye out. I have a Chet Holmgren to win Rookie of the Year bit as well. Things are looking good from that perspective. They're so fun to watch, though. They're a two-way team. They defend, they run, they drive and kick. Like, they're similar to the Celtics, a lot of drive and kick. I'm really interested to see how we defend them. Like, SGA has been unstoppable, averaging like 31 a game, mid-range. I want to see... Like, do we get a little playoff game plan? Do we, when Drew's on Embiid, obviously different team, but so is there something different? I'm always interested to why teams don't play off SGA a little bit more. He's not really a three-point shooter. Doesn't take a lot, doesn't make a lot either. So I would give him a little bit of space because he's just so good at driving and he's relentless. He leads the league in drives per game by a sizable margin. I love the way that he plays. Question in the chat, is Drew back? Full team, injury report completely clean. No one questionable. Everyone is out. I love the way they actually bought some rest for this team here. Tatum got a night off, Jaylen and Drew here as well. Not Derrick White, of course, but he's an Iron Man. But yeah, defensively is when I'm really intrigued to see how we game plan for the Thunder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be really interested to see who takes the shy matchup. I probably will be Drew if I had to guess, because Shai's a little big for Derrick White, and you kind of want Derrick on some of their shooters. But I have a bad feeling about this Thunder game. I think this is probably one we drop. We're 9-1 in our last 10, right? Like, we got to lose another game at some point soon here. So I think I probably have this one pegged.
Yeah, well, let me just dust off a couple of these, cleaning the glass, last 2 weeks stats again. And it's pretty terrifying looking at OKC. Second in point differential past 2 weeks, second ranked offense, first ranked defense. So they're well and truly up there with us and well and truly well above us defensively in the past 2 weeks. We're just flying, I think, fresh from San Antonio. I don't think they went home via Boston at all. OKC, somewhat well-rested, playing at home, sleeping in their own beds. They're a fantastic team. This is going to be one of the most challenging games of the season thus far. Yep. And we continue to go through this cycle. We talk about it all the time where the team, maybe they struggle a little bit on the road or against some more challenging teams. Well, we say, we really need a stretch at home. We really need a nice stretch against some sub-500 teams to reset ourselves. And then we get that, and they rattle off 9-1, as you said, Spoonie. And then suddenly the desire is, okay, now let's see it against a really good team. Well, now we have this matchup against a really, really good team. It is going to be really challenging, but I think we're ready for it. Sticking with that cycle, we've arrived at this point again, and it's time to see how we hold up against a really good team. I haven't looked at the odds, but I would assume that we're favorites, because of just how dominant we've been. But it's going to be close.
Yeah, we're favorites by 2.5, 3. So it's very close. It's a close spread. It's the closest spread we've had for a while, for a good while. Outside of the which game was it? Were we not favored in the Kings game? That's because we had no Tatum and no Horford.
And it was a back-to-back.
Well. And a back-to-back. And there was just bad vibes around the team after that one. So that's the only game I think we may not been favored in. This is like the closest one since then. But yeah, and then the KP Chet thing, unicorn versus unicorn. These guys are going to be up for this. I guarantee it. It's going to be a good game, and I think a lot of people are going to be watching this one.
Guys, an absolute miracle to have brought this home within the 1 hour mark. I didn't think we were going to do it. The odds were against us, but here we are, 59 minutes and 30 seconds. Any final thoughts before we wrap up, guys?
No, dude, you got 22 seconds. Let's get out of here.
All right, let's call it. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Please subscribe. Thank you to Seal and S for presenting the First of the Floor podcast. Spoonie, Jake, Happy New Year to you and everyone. Love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel.